Now I request first Professor Swaruparani, who would talk on this subject. Thank you very much. How 20th century from 21st century, the transition taken place in Telugu language should be the best person to say. Thank you.
Jai Bhim, respected Dr. Sivakami, my moderator, and other fellow discussions, Kalyani Thakur from Bengali, Sheroz Singh Bechan from Hindi, Jayasri Kambar from Kannada, Vinod Gaikwad from Marathi. So, and my dear audience and friends, very good morning, Jai Bhim to all. I'm happy to be here, and I express my deep gratitude to the Sahitya Akademi, particularly Pankaj and the team, and our Telugu EC members, Mr. Prashen and Professor Mrunalini ji, for the opportunity. So in this topic, Dalit literature in 21st century, I would like to speak from Telugu point of view. Naturally, like the other languages of Indian languages, Dalit literature has been deep rooted with the ancient past, that Charvaka, the philosophies of Charvaka, Slokayata, Buddhist, and other Shramanic traditions of ancient India. And coming to medieval period also, we have Bhakti movement, anti-caste Bhakti movement. It is also, it has its impact on modern Telugu Dalit literature. And also Pothuluri Veerabrahma, the writings of Pothuluri Veerabrahma and Vemana. And in modern, coming to the modern period, we have Phule, Ambedkar, Periyar, and the movements also, Adi Dravida movement, Adi Hindu movement, Adi Andhra movement we have. So the Dalit literature is rooted with this philosophy of ancient non-Brahmin movements or anti-caste movements since ancient period, right? Then modern Dalit literature is basically, it is a contest. It is not just like the writing for the writing's sake. It is the contest or fight against the inequality. It contests basically the caste and class dominance and discrimination and exploitation. And the early phase in Telugu literature, we have to categorize the Dalit literature into basically broadly two categories, two phases. That is, the first phase is early first century, 20th century in the early phase. That is, it was started with the Adi Hindu or Adi Andhra movement with Bhagireddy Varma, Kusma Dharmana and others. That is the early phase. It was started with the first decade of 20th century. Then it goes till 1980s. We can broadly categorize or divide that till 80. Till 80 means 80s means it was started with the second phase was started with Karam Chedu movement. Karam Chedu was happened, that massacre against the Dalits was happened in 1985. So till then we have literature against the caste oppression, but that literature, the nature of that literature is different. And after Karam Chedu, its tone is completely changed. Its voice is completely changed. Before that, Bhagireddy Varma, Kusma Dharmana and others. And then, of course, we have Gurram Joshua, Boy Bhimana, and many others. And Kolakuluri Enoch, all of them, they are also there. But their voice is initially something like prayer. In the beginning, it is like something like a prayer kind of thing, not the serious protest. It is, we can call it protest, but still it is mild kind of protest. Simply they criticize the Varnashrama Dharma, caste system, discrimination and all inequalities. but not with the anguish voice. But after Karam Chedu, the voice became very serious anger, lot of anger and protest is seen in the literature produced after Karam Chedu. And then, more importantly, after Karan Chedu, the number of poets, number of writers is significantly increased than before. Than before, we have very limited writers, but after Karan Chedu, the number of writers, poets, balladiers, that number is significantly increased, and we can say it is more than 100 writers and poets. And also the farm is also like in the beginning of this Karan Chedu movement, farm is mostly poetry and song because of the ongoing agitations. And very importantly, this period, 1980s to 2000, there were a lot many massacres, atrocities against the Dalits, right from Karan Chedu to Vempenta. Many massacres are happened. Karan Chedu 1985. Later Sunduru, Vempenta, Padirikuppam, Neerkonda. In many places, a lot of number of massacres are happened. Why massacres are happened? For that also there is a serious, important, significant thing is there. Before that, uh, there was discrimination, caste discrimination. There was inequalities are there, and lot of oppression is there. But questioning was not there. Just they were accepting the discrimination and going on. Okay, in 1968, there was caste killing in the place called Kanchikacherla. Kanchikacherla, wherein a Dalit youth was fall in love with upper caste girl, and for that they killed him brutally. They burned him alive. Sajiva Dahanam burned him alive in 1968. That was recorded, that was filed, case was filed, and there was huge response from all over India, and even from BBC also has published that news, and deputy prime minister of that time, Babu Jagadjeevan Ram, also arrived to the village, Vijayawada, and his village also. So that was another milestone. But Karan Chedu became milestone because by that time, 1980s, Dalits became organized. Dalits became organized and started questioning the discrimination at the village level. So huge massacres, killings are started because of raising the voice. So in Sunduru, what happened that there was a railway gauge. All Dalits of that family are getting jobs, small gaps, but jobs, but they are entering into the jobs and proclaiming their self dignity. They are wearing white dresses, changing their life pattern. They are not simply going as parlor work to do the parlor work, and they are not submissive, and they are entering into the jobs and getting educated, and their children also getting educated slowly. That's why this massacre was happened. They questioned the discrimination and disparities in the society. In Sunduru, both the upper caste boys and Dalit boys are sitting together in the cinema hall. So for that matter, myself and that Dalit boy is it same? That is their problem. So they did that massacre, killed almost 7 or 8 men in the same day, and they cut their bodies and buried under the soil. In the agricultural field, they buried the pieces of the bodies, and some of the bodies are put in the gunny bags and thrown into the river. So very huge massacres are happened. So during this time, Dalits have produced very powerful literature, and the literature also in the form of poetry and song, because of the ongoing movement. When the movement is very vigorous, naturally poetry and stories only will come. When it is not so, stories and novels slowly philosophizing the life, philosophizing the caste discrimination, theorizing the discrimination happen. But this time is very crucial. when the ongoing Dalit movements are very vigorous, and suppression by the state, suppression by the police, that was also very high. So because of that vigorous this thing, uh, poetry and songs are produced. And then we can again we can see the another phase, another milestone in Dalit movement. That is, it was started with Madiga reservation movement. That is Dandora movement. We can call simply Dandora movement. It was started in 1997. So that is another milestone. With that, the specific assertion or specific issues and challenges of Dalit subcaste are the main subject matter in the literature. And before that, all oppressed communities like SCs, STs, BC, minorities, they are all considered as in the group of the category of Dalits. But with MRPS movement or Madiga Dandora movement, it is not so. It is not so. And Dalits who are subjected to the discrimination, like untouchability, who are subjected to untouchability since the ages only, considered to be Dalits, not the OBCs, not the STs, not the minorities. Only those who are experiencing, who have been experiencing that untouchability, that segregation, denial in the public sphere, denial to get to fetch water in the village wells and tanks, those sections only can be considered as Dalits. And again, with Madiga reservation, this thing, the literature is also, it went into the specificities, particularities, and so again, the Dalit literature is categorized as Dalit literature and then Madiga literature. In Dalit literature, Mala community and its subcastes are there, and in Madiga literature, Madiga and its subcastes are included. And then slowly, after Madiga literature, Madiga movement came into force, um, all Bahujan communities, all oppressed social groups have become very assertive. With that, OBCs also formed themselves as separate section. Though it is part of Bahujan, but OBCs are focusing on their own special issues. And then Madigas, as we discussed, Madigas are focusing on their own specific issues. And then Muslims, Muslim minorities are started focusing on their specific issues and challenges. And then gradually, with all these developments, tribals, Adivasis also entered into the field of literature, written literature. Before that, they have oral literature. But with these developments in Telugu literature, Adivasi writers also came into force. Malipuram Jagadish, Palamaneru Balaji, Padda Manasuya, Kalyani Kunja, and Ramesh Karthik Naik, who has won that Yuva Puraskar last year. So all these are the young Adivasi writers. They came forward to write, to produce written form of literature also. So, and then broadly, the
Hello.
second phase of the literature
1
became
minute.
expanded as Bahujan literature. We can say it is Bahujan literature. In the beginning, it was broadly, that was also broad, but it was Dalit literature. And later, they have their own specific, they identified their own specific issues and challenges, and they organized themselves as groups. So OBCs have brought one anthology, one collection of poetry, Ventade Kalalu, Venakabadina Kulalu. Like that, Madigas have produced they published that collection of poetry, Kaitunakala Dandam. Kaitunakala Dandam, that is the bunch of dried beefs, right? Like that, Muslims are much aware about this thing. Before all this, Ventade Kalalu, Venakabadina Kulalu, and Kaituna Kaladanyam, Muslims have brought their collection of poetry, Jal Jala. Jal Jala as poetry, and Watan, the collection of stories by different authors, right? So, like this, and Dalit women, the entry of, I have to 1 minute. So, Dalit women, in the beginning of this 18th decade of 80s, Dalit women were absent. Dalit women were there in the beginning, but they have no Dalit consciousness. They were writing just like that, and by birth they are Dalits. But straightly, Phule Ambedkarite perspective is absent in their writings. So we are identifying the Dalit writers, Dalit women writers, with the essence of Ambedkarism, Phule's ideology, Periyar ideology, and feminist essence also. So Dalit women have been entered into the field of literature during 90s, the decade of 90s. So myself, Jazul Gauri, and Vinodani, a few are there in that century. And 21st century, the number is significantly improved by the entry of number of Dalit women writers like Jupak Subhadra, uh, Gogu Samala, Vinodani, and Manasa, Enduri Manasa, Mercy Margaret. There are number of Dalit women writers, and they are writing now very powerful writing. This thing, poetry and story also. And in 21st century, what is the significant difference between that previous century and this century is the forms are increased. Previously, mostly our literature was confined to poetry and stories, songs. Very few stories also there. But 21st century, along with poetry and song, we have stories, novels, autobiographies, biographies, and many other, lot many number of forms of literature is increased, and vigor is also increased, and philosophizing the discrimination, theorizing the discrimination, and all that is going on in Telugu literature. It has become a very important, crucial stream of literature in Telugu. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chalapalli. Am I audible? Uh, Thank you, Chalapalli Swaruparani. You have traced the entire history of Dalit literature starting from the 20th century up to 21st century. The highlights are how the awareness created by Dalit literature in the villages have led to criminal assault on them, one. Secondly, how intersections have come to play in Dalit literature, that is feminist literature, and also within Dalit sections there are Mala, Madiga, and also OBCs. So while you say this, it is not should not be misunderstood as disintegration. It is a kind of addressing their own problems and challenges by the community. As a result, at some point of time, they'll be all uniting themselves. It's a kind of a politicization of all the communities, and Dalit literature was a key cause, she said, especially Dalit women writings. Thank you. Next, I would like to invite um, Jayashri C. Kambar from Kannada language.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, everybody. Dear Shivkami ma'am and the other panelists on the dais, the scholars and the poets. Um, Swarupa, right? Yeah. She spoke about the historical context in Dalit literature, and their experience talks more strongly than mine because I'm a non-Dalit, and I have closely observed some of the situations, and thankfully we are brought up in a society, in a home where we do not discriminate caste system at all. Having studied Dalit literature um, as a part of my profession, teaching, it was here and there studying many writers in tidbits. And what I observed is the students responded so well to it. the students of this age of technology, when you talk about the stories of the untouchables, what they faced, how did they try for one glass of water to serve her husband, getting some rotten water. And I could see how the children, how the students used to feel sorry for it. So academically, I feel that by adding Dalit literature as a part of syllabus, definitely, makes their humanized self to be awakened. So I I'm not giving here any details about the historical context because it was throughout India in 1910 where the works of Jyotirao Phule and Ambedkar's annihilation of caste influenced on people, and the education which they had received also made them to come forefront and express their views and their suffering and their um, pain. So here I just will go through the points what I've, then we'll have a little bit of discussion, which is also included here. So in Kannada literature, we hear the voice of marginal section during Vachana movement of Karnataka in 12th century, which is again a Bhakti movement also follows. And 12th century was more prominent in Kannada literature because it created a great furor. So it's the most remarkable and revolutionary era of Karnataka as people from various social stream participated sharing their views democratically. Madara Channaya, Ambigara Chaudaya, Madivala Machaya, Haralaya, Jedara Dasimaya, etc. There are very few who have been portrayed, who have portrayed the social injustice, corruption, caste system, rituals. In toto, they strongly question the major issues pertaining to identity and inequality. Dalit literature has been a strong platform which has its expression of pain, suffering, injustice, humiliation, anger, along with the portraying their culture, traditions, and their native dialect. That is what we see now. This voice of marginalized section of the society was explored after they entered into the mainstream of the society through education, which being the doorway to express their social injustice. In other words, education helped them to contemplate themselves, leading them to dream the accomplishment of promising aspirations. In addition, this awareness is being looked from different perspectives, such as their realized social identity within the existing caste system. This has led them to voice against oppression, revealing harsh realities using their dialect unhesitant and realizing their own importance and strength and exposing exploitation. So even they did not hesitate to use their dialect. It was not like the official dialect, official Kannada language that they used. So they started using their native dialect to express more strongly. And though it is little difficult for us to read and get that, but once you start with that tone, then you delve deeply into their whole life. So the recent Dalit works have included their culture, traditions, gods, and rituals, hence introducing us their living and beliefs which never before recorded. In 1960s, Kannada Dalit literature emerges to voice the inequality and social discrimination. The members of the oppressed community raised out the demand for the dignity. For the first time, we hear the strong voice challenging the harsh truth of the other caste politically and socially. This was the expression of bitterness along with the artistic zeal. This stands as a testimony of education as a mode of empowerment. The efficient use of local dialect added to the artistic representation of their culture with force. In the present scenario, the Dalit literature is not just a mere narration of oppression, but it is a challenge to the existing hegemony. I would like to quote few eminent writers of Kannada Dalit literature. The first and foremost poet in our Kannada literature is, who influenced to a large extent is Siddhalingaya. And he created a new way of awareness. So that was the era where the cassette had just emerged and it was reaching people. And his poems were sung in those cassettes where he questioned, like, who got this 47th independence, and where is it? How did it come? So, like this questioning, and making, I mean, again, talking about, um, attack them. They had attacked us, so now you attack them. So all these sort of songs which was heard by people, because education could reach during those days very to very few people, but here it took across even the rural areas where they listened and where the awareness rose. So again, who Devanur Mahadevaya is another a poet and a novelist who has written Kusuma Ballet, the novel which created a new wave in Dalit literature, because it talks about a woman and how a story, just giving birth to or having an extramarital relation and giving birth to a child. He brings a whole village there on one platform, each one discussing. We have there the women of upper class also sitting there and discussing on this incident in the village. Any incident becomes everybody's, the whole village is like a one big home, even whether it is upper class or lower. But the incident is like, they sit and discuss. So he has created all this and questioned there by highlighting the motherhood, whatever is the caste, but motherhood predominates there. But it, even there we have some of the characters like Turama, where she's um, encountering the rituals or magical performances with the Brahminical, and where she uses her tantras. So in a small platform in their own culture, how they try to combat with the upper established rituals and the beliefs. So this is one of the novel. Even to this day, it's very popular, and the language is too difficult. Most of the Kannada readers will say that it looks like Greek and Latin when we read it, but when you delve in it, first a few pages may go very difficult to enter into the fervor of that dialect. But once you're in it, you start reading, you just go to their own homes and read that into that dialect. So we have another, I'm only quoting few poets. So Murna Kudu Chinnaswamy is yet another poet and short story writer. And he also talks about how the second generation of Dalits are exploited. So first generation, they atrocities they had to face. But second generation, he says that they have to face psychologically. They are facing psychological issues. So in various contexts. So as he tells that in one of his interview, as the time has passed by, it has shifted the oppression, the torture, the humiliation, etc. It has shifted from physical to psychological. And in his poem Chappals, he says that we have some rituals where we keep chappals outside the temple, but he says chappals left not the chappals at the entrance of the temple, but has left himself, myself, outside. It's not chappals that I've left outside, because that established norm is there, rule is there, that the untouchable is not supposed to enter the uh, temple. But still, that is in his memory. So he says, I'm leaving the chapel, but he's going there, but it's there. Himself, his identity, his soul, his presence is outside. This shows that he's recognizing himself with the others who are left out. And again, in one of his poems, see, these are the various ways of expressing if they try to hold me, because I have become the syllable to burn ignorance. So they know what is truth, the equality. All are human beings born with the same rights created by the same God. This realization is there. So he says, I am now the witness of the truth. Nothing can burn us, because he has learned, he has gained the knowledge to
1
burn
minute.
the ignorance. Yeah. So again, Subbu Holea says, I'm searching for water to wash air because I'm breathing. And like this, there are many writers. But what I have observed among women writers, this podium, the chance that I received to present this had it has made me to read in a vast way, in a profound way, the Dalit writers of my language. And women writers, I did not find much of the force of the Dalit expression as we see in Shivkami ma'am's writing and Bama's writing. But we have a feminist approach. And what I find in the newcomers here, even now, is they have very few experience, that is third hand experience, or sometimes it's their memory, sometimes they don't feel much of it, so they are actually entering into the mainstream of literature. This is my observation. Thank you for the patience hearing. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Sahitya Academy, for this.
Thank you, Jayashree C. Kambar. Uh, she has traced the change as physical to psychological. I would say both physical and psychological, because physical assault still continuing, and also the younger generations are more sensitive. They would get hurt very easily, so sometimes they go into hiding their identities also. So this is what is happening. So mainstream, I don't think, because when she mentioned about Devanur Mahadeya and Sitalingaya, I have read both of them. And it's not only they have made a kind of a mark in Dalit literature, the entire Kannada literature, they have made a mark, because such a kind of a powerful language, nobody could have written, in the entire Kannada literature. Because I've also read in translation some of the Kannada writers, but Kusuma Bale is the deviant and more powerful. Thank you. And next, I would like to invite Mr. Vinod Gaikwad from Marathi.
आदरणीय पी शिवकामीजी, कल्याणी ठाकुर चरल, शौराज सिंह बेचैन, जयश्री कंबार मैडम, चलपल्ली स्वरूपा रानी और उपस्थित सब गणमान्य श्रोताओं, सभी को मेरा प्रणाम। आई एम द प्रोफेसर ऑफ मराठी, फिर भी हिंदी बोलने की चेष्टा कर रहा हूँ। कुछ गलती हो गई तो माफ़ करना। आज दुनिया का माहौल हम देख रहे हैं, ईरान, इजराइल, अमेरिका, कल मैंने सुना रशिया भी उसमें शामिल हो रहा है। ऐसा एक युद्ध का संहारक माहौल हम देख रहे हैं। ऐसे कुछ लोग ऐसा ही कह रहे हैं कि शायद ये तीसरा विश्व युद्ध भी होगा, उसमें परिवर्तित होगा। ऐसे माहौल में हम उस साहित्य की चर्चा कर रहे हैं, दलित साहित्य की, जो दलित साहित्य युद्ध नहीं चाहता, बुद्ध चाहता है। बुद्ध की फिलॉसफी चाहता है, शांति, सद्भावना जगत में चाहता है। दलित साहित्य एक ऐसा साहित्य है 21वीं सदी में भी, अभी जो बात मैंने की, कि उससे यही भी प्रतीत होता है कि यह साहित्य 21वीं सदी में भी अहमियत रखता है, बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। मराठी के एक प्रकांड पंडित थे, वो दलित नहीं थे, तर्क तीर्थ लक्ष्मण शास्त्री जोशी जी, बहुत आपने का नाम सुना होगा। उन्होंने 40-50 बरस पहले दलित साहित्य के बारे में कहा था कि यह युगांतर सूचक साहित्य है, यानी कि युग बदल रहा है। अब तक दबा हुआ जो आवाज थी, वो अभी ऊपर आने लगी है। इसलिए ये युगांतर सूचक है। और इतना ही नहीं, अभी वो राष्ट्रीय है और वो जल्द ही वैश्विक साहित्य भी बन जाएगा। 1 जनवरी से 4 जनवरी तक महाराष्ट्र के सातारा जिले में अखिल भारतीय साहित्य सम्मेलन संपन्न हुआ। उसके अध्यक्ष थे मराठी के बहुत बड़े लेखक विश्वास पाटिल जी। अभी ये इधर आए थे विश्वास पाटिल जी, और एक 10 मिनट सुन के वो चले गए। मृदुला गर्ग जी हिंदी की बहुत बड़ी साहित्यिका, उन्होंने वो वहाँ पे प्रमुख उपस्थिति के रूप में थी। मृदुला गर्ग जी ने कहा, दलित साहित्य भारतीय साहित्य का आधार स्तंभ है। और ये बहुत सही मायने में उन्होंने कहा है। उस वक्त भारत में, जब मैं अम्बेडकर का काल बता रहा हूँ, उस वक्त एक 2 बड़े नेता देश में थे, एक महात्मा गांधी जी और डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर। और भी थे, लेकिन इन दोनों का उनकी मैं तो कुछ कंपैरिजन करना चाहता हूँ। महात्मा गांधी जी कह रहे थे अपने अनुयायियों को कि गांव की तरफ चलो, देहात की ओर निकल पड़ो, क्योंकि वहाँ बहुत काम करना है देहात में। और उसी वक्त दलित बांधवों को डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर कह रहे थे कि शहर की ओर चलो, वहाँ की परिस्थिति जो है देहात की, वो अगर बदलने है तो हमें शहर की ओर जाना पड़ेगा। इसके कुछ मुद्दे थे। गांव में जाति, रूढ़ी, परंपराएं, ये सब बहुत दृढ़ थी और दलितों को वो सब भोगना पड़ता था। उसके बाद उन्हें जो काम करने पड़ते थे दलितों को, वो सब अपमानजनक के काम थे। गाय मर गई है, भैंस मर गई है, उसे लेके जाके गांव के बाहर फेंकाओ, ऐसे कुछ तो काम थे। बेबी कामले का जिक्र किया मैडम ने। वो बेबी कामले का जीना अमुत्सव, उनकी ऑटोबायोग्राफी है, आवर लाइफ। उसमें उन्होंने दिया है कि जब ये भैंस मर जाती थी तो हमारे दलित लोग लेके आते थे, उसका जो मांस है, मटन है, वो निकालते थे। वो बहुत होता था और वो सुखाते थे, 2-3 दिन सुखा के वो डिब्बे में डाल के रखते थे। जब खाने के लिए कुछ भी नहीं मिलता था उस वक्त वो खाते थे। इतना ही नहीं, वो पौष्टिक था। इसलिए बेबी कामले जब प्रसूत हो गई और उसे उस वक्त कुछ तो पौष्टिक अच्छा अनाज चाहिए था, वो नहीं मिल रहा था। इसलिए वो डिब्बे में से वो मटन वो निकालते, उसमें कीड़े मकोड़े थे और वो पानी में डाल के जो थोड़ा बहुत अच्छा निकला उसमें से वो खा रही थी। ऐसा वो जीवन था, ऐसी जिंदगी थी वो। इसलिए वो ये जो है बाबा साहेब अम्बेडकर कहते कि ऐसे अपमानजनक काम वहाँ मत करो, आओ शहर की तरफ आओ। शहर में ये रूढ़ी, जाति, परंपरा, इसके बंधन कुछ ढीले होते हैं, अच्छा काम मिल सकता है। गांव में बलुतेदारी हम बोलते हैं मराठी में, कि पूर्ति वर्ष तक काम करना और उसके बाद कुछ अनाज लोग देते थे, पैसा तो नहीं था इसमें। शहर में आने के बाद बहुत काम थे उधर, कोई बिल्डिंग बन रही थी, इंडस्ट्रीज थी, डॉकयार्ड था, और दलितों को अच्छा काम मिल रहा था। हर सप्ताह कुछ पैसे भी मिल रहे थे। गांव में स्कूलों के दरवाजे बंद थे, नहीं तो ऐसी धारणा थी कि हम नहीं सीखेंगे, उसकी हमें जरूरत नहीं है। लेकिन बाबा साहब जी ने जो आंदोलन किया उसमें 3 बातें उन्होंने कही थी कि पढ़ो, संगठित हो और संघर्ष करो। ये बहुत बड़े सूत्र थे और पढ़ने का अच्छा अवसर शहर में मिलता था, इसलिए वे शहर में बुलाते थे। और वहाँ कुछ अच्छे, वो जो बाबा साहब की जो क्रांति थी, जो बहुत बड़ा आंदोलन था, मानव मुक्ति का पूरे विश्व में बहुत बड़ा प्रयोग था, उसे यश आने लगा उधर। इसलिए ये भी बहुत मायने रखते हैं इधर। दलित साहित्य का मुख्य उद्देश्य केवल अभिव्यक्ति नहीं बल्कि सामाजिक परिवर्तन लाना है। यह साहित्य व्यक्ति की पीड़ा को सामूहिक अनुभव में बदलकर समाज के सामने प्रश्न खड़े कर देता है और न्याय की मांग करता है। लेकिन अभी उससे भी बढ़कर दलित साहित्य अच्छे माहौल में आया है, ये भी हमें देखते हैं। यह साहित्य भोगे हुए यथार्थ पर आधारित है। इससे कल्पना की अपेक्षा सत्य कथन और अनुभव का महत्व अधिक होता है। जो पीड़ा दलित समाज ने स्वयं झेली है वही इनकी रचनाओं में सजीव रूप से प्रकट हो गई है। दलित साहित्य की त्रिसूत्री हम बताते हैं, मराठी में हम बताते हैं, सभी तरफ वैसा ही होगा। वेदना, विद्रोह और नकार। दलितों की एक बहुत बड़ी वेदना ये थी कि वो इंसान थे लेकिन उनको इंसान नहीं माना जाता था। जानवर, सुअर और कुत्ते भी स्पृश्य थे लेकिन इंसान होकर भी ये अस्पृश्य थे। इतना ही नहीं, मैं एक अलग बात कहना चाहता हूँ कि सिर्फ अस्पृश्य नहीं, अदृश्य भी थे। नाई समाज के जो लोग थे, बार्बर, उन्हें अदृश्य कह सकते हैं हम, क्योंकि सुबह सुबह कोई भी नाई अपना मुख और लोगों को दिखा नहीं सकता। कैसी विडम्बना है देखो, औरों के मुख देखने लायक जो बनाता है उसे अपना मुख दिखाने का अवसर नहीं था, परवानगी नहीं थी, उसे हम अदृश्य कर सकते हैं। ऐसे ये थे, वेदना ये थी। इसलिए जब वेदना अति हो जाती है वहां से विद्रोह जन्म लेता है। विद्रोह विरोध करने की शक्ति प्रदान करता है और विरोध के बाद नकार आता है। नकार बोले तो ये विषमता है, हम इसे नकार देते हैं। ये धर्म है, ये हमें झेलना पड़ रहा है, हम इसे नकार देते हैं। लेकिन ये त्रिसूत्री नहीं, मैं चतुर्थ और एक सूत्र इसमें जोड़ना चाहता हूं, वो है स्वीकार का सूत्र। जब स्वीकार के बिना नकार अधूरा होता है। अगर हमें विषमता नहीं चाहिए तो हमें समता का स्वीकार करना पड़ेगा। हमें युद्ध नहीं चाहिए तो हमें बुद्ध का स्वीकार करना पड़ेगा। इसलिए ये चौथा करता हूं मैं। जो जो अत्यंत पर्सनल होता है, बहुत पर्सनल, वो उसी तीव्रता से अगर आविष्कृत किया जाए साहित्य में तो यूनिवर्सल बन जाता है। दलित साहित्य का यही हाल है, वो उनका पर्सनल अनुभव है सब हो, और वो सब ऐसा आविष्कृत करते हैं अपने साहित्य में, वो यूनिवर्सल बन गया है। अभी दलितों का दुख इधर ही नहीं, वो निगरों का रहेगा सारे भारत में, विश्व में कहाँ कहाँ ऐसा दुख जिस जाति को झेलना पड़ रहा है उन सभी का हो जाता है, वो यूनिवर्सल वो बन जाता है। तो दलित साहित्य आज भी 21वीं सदी में किस लिए महत्वपूर्ण है, इसका कारण है दलित साहित्य की जो प्रेरणा है वो बहुत बड़ी है और सारे विश्व को वो मार्गदर्शन के रूप में खड़ी है। भगवान गौतम बुद्ध है, बसवेश्वर जी है, छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज भी है उसमें, क्योंकि अंबेडकर जी पर इन सभी का प्रभाव बहुत था। और महात्मा फुले तो है ही है, उनकी बहुत बड़ी क्रांति है। मेरा एक नॉवेल भी महात्मा फुले जी के ऊपर है, उसका नाम ही युगारंभ ऐसा मैंने लिखा है। एक युग का आरंभ महात्मा फुले जी ने किया और वो बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर के क्रांति का वो बेस भी रहा है, ऐसा भी हम कह सकते हैं कि बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर उनको गुरु मानते थे, जो थी महात्मा फुले को। ये सब जो है, अभी मैंने जो नाम लिए पेरियार जी, इनका एक ही मकसद था कि सारे विश्व में शांतता हो, समृद्धि हो, और इसीलिए है ओके मैडम, सभी समान और स्वतंत्र हो, सभी को विकसित होने का समान अवसर मिले, और ये सब दलित साहित्य हमें देता है। दलित साहित्य, मैं साहित्य की एक व्याख्या करता हूँ, डेफिनेशन साहित्य की, लेकिन वो दलित साहित्य को पूरी तरह से समा जाते हो। क्या है वो? वेदना की भूमि है, लेकिन वो वेदना की भूमि से आनंद के आकाश की ओर प्रतिभा शक्ति का जो प्रवास होता है वो साहित्य निर्मिति का इतिहास होता है। दलित साहित्य में वेदना भरी पड़ी है, संघर्ष की कथा है, व्यथा है, लेकिन वो इतना यहाँ पर नहीं रोक सकता, वो आनंद की ओर सभी को ले जाना चाहता है। ऐसा वो दलित साहित्य है। इतना कह के मैं मनोज पंकज शेठ जी को, साहित्य अकादमी के सभी को, ईश्वर पाटिल जी को, सभी को धन्यवाद देता हूँ और यही रोकता हूँ।
Thank you, Vinod Kekwatji. In his speech, what I could gather is that the narrative that Baby Kamble had written about the life has changed now. In fact, Dr. Ambedkar has professed that urbanization is the important thing to avoid all this discrimination, one. And secondly, he talked about how people have taken to Buddhism and following Buddhist philosophy. So these are the two important points. And also he says Dalit literature has become universal. What happens in the Hindi belt could be heard in Tamil belt. So we all connected through literature, and also the atrocities are also faced everywhere jointly. So thank you so much. Now I request Kalyani Thakur from Bengali language. They have already introduced her.
Thank you, Shivagami. My respect to all my co-representative and the other dignitaries present here. Actually, how I take this session so seriously or lightly, how I present it. Actually, I am coming from West Bengal. You may say me Bangladeshi. So it is very difficult to my position with my identity. What am I? Am I Indian or Bangladeshi, Ghuspetia, non-resident, illegal migrant, doubtful voter, and so on? These all are my identities. Then how can I say not only Dalit, with these adjective I am also a Dalit of India. I'll read some historical points of view about Bangla Dalit literature. Actually, Bengali peoples do not recognize the word Bengal. There is the Jatpat in Bengal. No casteism in Bengal. There is no Jati in Bengal. They are only class. There is no caste. And it is very truth, but being a member of that state, it is very difficult to say I am a Dalit, and after that I am a Dalit writer. Then we win some international award from writing this type of literature. It is not they are pleased because this is we are actually make them villain towards the international about people. Now I am speaking about Bangla Dalit literature. Charyapad is the mother of Bengali literature. It was written from 8th to 12th century, that is 780 to 1200 AD. Was discovered in 1907 in the Royal Court Library of Nepal and published in the year 1916 in Bengal by Hariprasad Shastri. Fortunately or unfortunately, Sri Sri Horililamrita, the first book where the word Dalit is prominent and used by the Bengali author Tarak Chandra Sarkar, was also published in the year 1916. Although we know the word Dalit was in 1958, but Tarak Chandra Sarkar used this word before 1916. Some critics says that the word was used in Maharashtra 1958, but I think it is not correct because the word was previously used in Sri Sri Horililamrita. In South India, non-Brahmin manifesto also published in 1916. This year is very important, I think. Next book, Sri Sri Gurchand's Chorit, was published in the year 1943. It was written by Mahananda Haldar. All these are Motua literature as well as Dalit literature. Why do I say these books are Dalit literature, or why do we consider these books are Dalit literature? As we come to know the Dalit history from these books, like Untouchability of Undivided Bengal, Education Movement of the Untouchable by Harichand Thakur. Harichand Thakur was born in 1812, before Phule, and his son Guruchand Thakur, 1847 to 1937, who was a great leading personality. Self-respect movement of Bengal was happened in the year 1978, 72, 73. The untouchable first movement for their identity and dignity in India, they boycott to serve to the so-called upper caste people. They stopped their services in all ground, like scavenging, hair cutting, and other services also, and so on. But influencing by the Maharashtra Dalit Panther movement, 1972, Bangla Dalit Sahitya Parishad was found in the year 1987 by Nokul Mullik, Bashanto Mandol, and other some Dalit writers. But it was not continuing. After Chuni Kotal's suicide in 16th August 1992, a Shabor girl of Vidyasagar University, she was humiliated by her professor and committed suicide, like Rohit Vemula. Rohit Vemula committed in 2017, 16, but Chuni Kotal incident was happened in Bengal 1992. The Bengal is fast. Bangla Dalit Sahitya Sanstha was started its movement after Chuni Kotal committed suicide after that. And their periodical Chaturtha Duniya was published in 1994. Although we also started our periodical Need Ritu Patro from 1994. Initially, it was published with some special issues like folklore, folk drama, centenary issues, loneliness, psychological issues, reservation, water, drinking water crisis about refugees, short stories about of Aborigine languages, and from 2011 it becomes the open field of Dalit women writings only. They write about, actually I'm very much grateful and proud that here some Dalit dignitaries, women dignitaries like Anita Bharati, she is solely batting on now in Hindi belt, where the Dalit literature also prominently not mentioned, but she is batting solely with a lot of Dalit women. Here, Shiva Kami also solely batting with South Indian and others like IIT, IIM, because we focus on this institution like higher education, because maximum suicide cases are happening there. So it is very trauma, all the caste trauma is happening in the higher education center. So we must focusing there. Sorry, I will manipulate this timing. But then these women are not only writing critical writings, they will write creative writings. The women writings about Ambedkar special issues, Dalit great personalities issues. Current issues is about Mahamanav Gautam Buddha. This on the last issues. But the periodicals is covering 32 years. It is the 32 years of these issues. I like to say modern age of Dalit literature started from 87, or you may say 1992, as you can. But Dalit women age is started quite delay, and it started from 2011, we can say. Now this is the second wave of Dalit literature, according to some critics. But Dalit literature is generally written from sufferings, deprivation, victimization. It also includes rebellion and upliftment from deprivation. Dalit wants to free from Dalitization. Manohar Mauli Bishesh mentioned somewhere, if we call the aesthetics of mainstream literature synthesis, then perhaps the aesthetic of Dalit literature is an antithesis. And both negotiation of meeting point, what we may be called synthesis. Thesis, antithesis, and then synthesis. And integral living together of our literary work. Shivakami demanded that other platform of Sahitya Akademi discussion, Dalit are absent there. This is very good demand, but I do not know. When you want this demand, then your this reserved area will be gone through, I think, Karan, because you do not enter there, but they will enter there also, I think. The greater beauty lies in the body of synthesis. He also mentioned Mahi, Ashur, and Durga. I like to say in this context that can anybody kill his fellow citizen throughout the age? Can it be celebrated? Any killing can be celebrated? Is it humanitarian? But it is the great Utsav of Bengal. Ashur communities are enlisted at the serial number 1 of scheduled tribe list. But we do so very easy way, without hesitating. Not only that, we don't know how the PVTG amount for particularly vulnerable tribal groups, their ground can spent by other portion of cultural issues. We discuss about capitalism, but it is necessary to speak about cultural capitalism of India and who are enjoying this property and consuming it. 21st century Dalit voices arises some questions like this, but how many days they will loud about their deprivation? We know the word Ambedkar, Ambedkar, Ambedkar. इतनी बार भगवान का नाम लेता तो स्वर्ग मिल जाता. He does not know the line of Tarak Chandra Sarkar, the writer of Sri Sri Horililamrito, the line, যে যারে উদ্ধার করে সে তার ঈশ্বর, ভক্তি যোগে সেই তার স্বয়ং অবতার. Of course, they are our Bhagavan. Horichand, Guruchand, Ambedkar, Phule, all are our Ishwar, as they rescued us from this dark, brutal societal condition.
Thank you.
During the British period, the right of to exercise electoral facilities was given only to those who had education and property. As a result, the untouchables can not get a share in political power, and even other non-Dalit castes will only limited political power. Ambedkar says, in India, the majority is not a political majority. In India, the majority is born, it is not made. This is the difference between a communal majority. It is a majority which is always made, unmade, and remade. A communal majority is permanent majority fixed in its attitude. One can destroy it, but one cannot transfer it. Now begin a Bengali writer. I am Ghuspeti. I also said, I will take 1 minute more. 21st century writers write, পুরোহিত অন্য গ্রামে, এ গ্রামে কৃষকের বাস, কেবলমাত্র কৃষকেরা থাকে। সন্ধ্যায় পুরোহিত, হাতে শালগ্রাম, নারায়ণ তার। কৃষকের ঘরে নারায়ণ নেই, ধান লক্ষ্মী হয়ে গোলায়। কোজাগরি পূর্ণিমা মাটির দাওয়া, চালের আলপনা, ঘরে ধান লক্ষ্মী, তবুও চপলা লক্ষ্মী কৃষকের ঘরে থাকে না। কেননা নারায়ণ শালগ্রামে, পুরোহিত থাকে, মন্ত্র থাকে, মন্ত্র না থাকে অন্য গ্রামে। কোজাগরি পূর্ণিমা, লিলি হালদার। Ruined history by Manjubala. This is not the luxury of poetry, but a piece of fire retrieved from the uprooted, lying in the community's old grave, burst forth through the heart of this poem, stream of molten lava, all explosive combustible, seeking to burn, destroy, and efface the ruined history of the civilization burying its teeth. স্মৃতিকণা রাইট ইন এ ভার্নাকুলার বাংলাদেশি ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ। দু একজন চইলা যাচ্ছ ছন্ন ছাড়া হইয়া, ফেলায় যাচ্ছ জন্মের মতো ভাটিয়ালি সুর, বাতাস তারে বইয়া লইয়া যাত অনেক দূর। কান পাতলি শুনতি যে বাই দেহতত্ত্ব গান, অশ্বিনী তারক বিজয় নিশি সগল তাগের দান। সঙ্গে করে নিয়া যাও নিশান কাশি ডঙ্কা, পিটান দিবা মাতাম দিয়া ফেলাই দিয়া শঙ্কা। বিদাস বিবই অচেনা সব কহানে কেডা আছে, বিপদ বুঝলি হরি বলবা আপন পাবা কাছে। আশালতা রট, ওরা এলো নিখোঁজ শিশুর মতো বনবাদার থেকে, বর্ণহীন গোত্রহীন জীবন্ত কয়েকটি জীবন। দেখতে ওরা চাইলো সূর্যের রক্তিম আভা, দুহাতে তৃণ ছড়িয়ে বাঁধতে চাইলো আলোর দেশে, অথচ ওদের সর্বাঙ্গে ভূমিহীন হীনতার আচ্ছাদন। I finished with the word of some word of Antonio Gramsci. The term subaltern was introduced by Antonio Gramsci to identify the socially, economically, and politically exploited and marginalized classes of whom the dominant class puts forth in hegemonic power and impact. The subalterns have no place and political space within the hegemonic order. Their history is often erased or silenced by the mainstream historiography. Now the word is not same as it was in 1930. It is used in the border perspective and synonymous others, backward class, minorities, SC, ST, subjugated women, colorized subject, and also for children whose voice have been muted. Thank you, Sahitya, for your patience to here. You are just like our Speaker of the Parliament. I am sorry. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all, friends.
Thank you, Kalyani. She traced the history of Dalit movement as such, and she says even before independence this has started in Calcutta, but unfortunately there are not many Dalit writers in Bengali that we must acknowledge. Because I couldn't find, I've been asking, Kannada, there are many, but Dalit women are there, and Dalit women are there, and not in Kannada literature, not many. And also Andhra, she said 100 writers, and Marathi, of course, not many, lot many writers, not lot many, LOT, lot many writers. And Kerala also very few Dalit writers. Yeah,
About 150 or so.
where?
Bengal.
Bengal. Dalit writers, but we don't see any of them. And the translation.
Dalit in Bengal. You don't know there is no Dalit in Bengal.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what she said in the beginning, class and caste, because you don't recognize caste in Calcutta, means West Bengal. So it's a paradox that you call yourself as a Dalit writer. Now I request Sharai Singh to speak, and just please stick to 10 minutes, because we should give some 10 minutes to the audience. They also have something to say. Thank you.
मतलब सभी ने मेरा वक्त खा लिया। हाँ, जब शिवराज आता है तो उसका वक्त ऐसे ही खा लिया जाता है। पी शिवकामी जी, चल्लापल्ली जी, जयश्री जी, स्वरूप रानी जी, विनोद गायकवाड़ जी, कल्याणी जी और आप सब। विषय हमारा है 21वीं सदी में दलित, और हम या तो 16वीं शताब्दी पर बात करते हैं, या 19वीं शताब्दी या 18वीं शताब्दी पर बात करते हैं। इतिहास पर हम बहुत अधिक बात करते हैं। हम 21वीं सदी में क्या स्थिति है इस पर बात नहीं करते हैं, जो जरूरी है। और दलित साहित्य की पहचान इस 21वीं सदी में ही आई है, जहाँ से हमारी आज़ादी की लड़ाई शुरू होती है, वहीं से हमारे लिटरेचर की भी लड़ाई शुरू होती है। स्वतंत्रता की जहाँ से बात शुरू होती है, वहाँ से समानता की बात भी शुरू होती है। मैं 8-10 साल पहले जोहान्सबर्ग गया था, दक्षिण अफ्रीका। मैंने वहाँ देखा कि वो जो कोर्ट की दीवार है जिसमें अश्वेतों को पेश किया जाता था, दासों को, और वो जो जेल है वहाँ की जिसमें उन्हें रखा जाता था बंदी बनाकर, उनकी दीवारों पर लिखा है स्वतंत्रता यानी फ्रीडम, एजुकेशन और स्ट्रगल। ये 3 बातें इधर बाबा साहब ने भी हमको से कहीं, शिक्षित बनो, संगठित रहो और संघर्ष करो। इसी सूत्र में छिपी हुई है पूरी मुक्ति की लड़ाई। हम अगर इस पृष्ठभूमि पर थोड़ी नजर डाल लें तो हम पाते हैं कि हिंदी में स्वामी अच्युतानंद का आंदोलन चल रहा था। ये आदि हिंदू आंदोलन था, जिसे आंध्रा में और द्रविड़ आंदोलन में जो आप लोगों ने बताया कि उधर भी आदि आंदोलन चल रहा था, और पंजाब में भी चल रहा था। और पंजाब, ये मंगूराम और अच्युतानंद दोनों कवि भी थे और सामाजिक आंदोलनकारी भी थे और पत्रकार भी थे। ये लोग इस बात का महत्व समझ रहे थे कि हमारी अभिव्यक्ति के साधन हमारे पास होने चाहिए, इसीलिए अखबार भी निकाल रहे थे। ये 1990 से पहले जैसा मैं कह रहा हूं कि 21वीं सदी हमारी सदी हुई। 1990 से पहले मुख्य धारा में दलित साहित्य की बात नहीं करते थे लोग, प्रकाशक तैयार नहीं होते थे कुछ भी छापने के लिए, अखबारों में कोई चर्चा नहीं होती थी, संपादक संज्ञान नहीं लेते थे, नोटिस नहीं लेते थे। यहां तक कि जो पत्रिकाएं प्रगतिशील और उन्नत कहलाई वो भी 90 के बाद दलित साहित्य पर बात कर पाई है, और खासकर दलितों के साहित्य पर बात कर पाई। ऐसा क्यों? मुझे लगता है कि एक जो महत्वपूर्ण घटना हमारे देश में हुई, डॉक्टर अंबेडकर का शताब्दी वर्ष आना, उनको भारत रत्न मिलना और उनकी रचनाओं की तरफ अटेंशन देना, जो उनकी राइटिंग एंड स्पीचेस पब्लिश होना शुरू हुई, उसका बहुत बड़ा प्रभाव पड़ा। और हालांकि हंस 86 से निकल रहा था, 1986 से निकल रहा था, लेकिन आप देखेंगे 90 तक किसी दलित का कोई जिक्र नहीं है उसमें। प्रगतिशील पत्रिका कहलाती है। 92 से ओम प्रकाश वाल्मीकि, डॉक्टर धर्मवीर, मोहनदास नेमसिराय और हम सब थोड़ा थोड़ा उसमें छपना शुरू होते हैं। उसका कारण है मंडल कमीशन, पिछड़े वर्गों में चेतना आना, और उसी समय हम लोग आवाज उठाते हैं कि भाई मीडिया में दलितों को भागीदारी दो। हम दलित साहित्य न केवल सरकारी संस्थाओं में को डेमोक्रेटिक होना चाहता है, उसमें अपना रिप्रेजेंटेशन चाहता है, उन्हें लोकतांत्रिक होना देखना चाहता है, वो स्वायत्त संस्थाओं में भी देखना चाहता है। हमारी जो मीडिया है, पत्र पत्रिकाएं हैं, उसमें वो कहने को लोकतंत्र का स्तंभ कहलाती हैं, लेकिन क्या कोई दलित को उसमें जगह है? आज भी कोई पत्रकार, कोई संपादक, कोई रिपोर्टर दलित मिलता है क्या? और नहीं मिलता है तो ये साहित्य की स्वतंत्रता एक सीमित दायरे में सिमट के रह जाती है। हम बार बार हमारे सामने उदाहरण आता है अश्वेतों का, ब्लैक्स का, लेकिन आप देखिए कि वहां के नेशनल डेलीज में अश्वेत न केवल रिपोर्टर रहे, संपादक रहे, और एक संपादक तो वाशिंगटन पोस्ट का अनट्रेंड बच्चा था। 1919 में जब वहां हिंसा हुई, जब वहां दंगे हुए, नस्ली दंगे, तब उस बच्चे को अश्वेतों के बीच से, जो न ट्रेंड था न बहुत अच्छा शिक्षित था, लाया गया, इसलिए कि उस क्षेत्र की सूचना वही दे सकता है। और वो जो मरा तो वो चीफ एडिटर होके मरा वाशिंगटन पोस्ट का। हमारे यहाँ रिपोर्टर तक नहीं बनते और नहीं बनाए जाते। नेशनल डेली की स्थिति है, नहीं बनाए जाते तो उसका नतीजा क्या होता है? जो गांव में घटनाओं का आप जिक्र कर रहे हैं, उत्पीड़न की जो बातें कर रहे हैं, कुएं, मंदिर, रास्ते, इन पर न चलने देने की बात कर रहे हैं, बलात्कार और अत्याचार जो गांव में घटित होते हैं, उनकी सच्ची सूचनाएं अखबारों में नहीं आती। जो पराकाष्ठा पर पहुंच जाता है उत्पीड़न, वही कहीं दिखाई देता है, अन्यथा रोजमर्रा की जो समस्याएं हैं उनके बारे में देश में कोई चर्चा नहीं होती, संसद में कोई सवाल नहीं उठता। और वो इसलिए नहीं उठता कि वहां से कोई सूचनाएं लाने वाला, तस्वीर दिखाने वाला हमारे सामने नहीं होता। हम अपने स्तर पर दलित साहित्य की पत्रिकाएं निकालते हैं, अपने दलित लेखक लेखिकाओं को आगे लाने की कोशिश करते हैं। उसमें भी हमें हमारे पास एक दृष्टि की को बार बार साफ करने की जरूरत रहती है, और वो तब होती है जब हमारे पास अपनी पत्रिकाएं हों। हम बाबा साहब के जीवन पर अच्छी व्याख्या करेंगे उनकी, हम कबीर पर बहुत अच्छा बोलेंगे, हम फुले पर बहुत अच्छा बोलेंगे, सावित्री बाई की व्याख्या करेंगे, इतने से काम चलने वाला नहीं है। आज कौन अंबेडकर है, किस लेखक में अंबेडकर दिखाई पड़ रहा है वैचारिक स्तर पर? आज की सावित्री बाई फुले कौन है जिसकी अभिव्यक्ति में सावित्री बाई है? उसको रेखांकित करने की जरूरत है। आज का फुले कौन है, या फुले की चेतना किस लेखन में आ रही है, उस लेखन को सामने लाने की जरूरत है। इतिहास केवल दोहराने के लिए नहीं होता, इतिहास सबक के लिए होता है, नया इतिहास रचने के लिए होता है, एक पाठ की तरह होता है। तो हम पुरानी चीजों से नई चीजों का निर्माण करते हैं। मैं ये देखता हूं कि हिंदी में सैकड़ों नहीं, अब हजारों की तादाद में लेखक हैं, और बहुत सारे भ्रमित भी हैं। बहुत सारे लक्ष्य जो मुद्दे को लेकर चल रहे हैं, समस्या को लेकर चल रहे हैं, ऐसे भी और कुछ ऐसे भी हैं। जैसे मैं एक दो लेखकों का नाम लूं, सैकड़ों किताबें लिख दी। नवेंदु जी को ही हम ले लें, उन्होंने 50 किताबें लिखी, उसमें वो लेखक के साथ साथ ईश्वर हैं। अभी 25-30 किताबें उनकी आई, उनमें वो अवतार हैं। तो अगर हमने अपने को ईश्वर अवतार मान रखा है तो हमारी अभिव्यक्ति क्या होगी? हम जो हैं खुद को ही नहीं पहचान रहे, अपने यथार्थ को ही नहीं पहचान रहे, तो जाहिर है हमने समाज को क्या पहचाना होगा। तो आत्ममोह का साहित्य भी हमारी एक समस्या है।
1 minute.
जी मैंने कहा ही था कि मेरा ही हिस्सा, कोई बात नहीं। तो साहित्य अकादमी का मंच हो, या देश का अन्य मीडिया हो, या प्रकाशन हो, या समाज के विमर्श की बात हो, दलित इस समाज का बड़ा हिस्सा है, और उसे उसका रिप्रेजेंटेशन जहां नहीं है, उस संस्था को हम लोकतांत्रिक नहीं कह सकते, डेमोक्रेटिक नहीं कह सकते। तो दलित को दोहरा काम करना है। एक तो उसको मुख्य धारा के मीडिया में, मुख्य धारा के प्रकाशन में अपना हिस्सा लेना है, और एक चूंकि जो अनुभव उसके हैं वो किसी के पास नहीं है, रेयर है उसके लिए खुद की रचना, खुद का मीडिया, खुद के विचारों का प्रकाशन करना होगा। इन दो रास्तों से ही हम, और इस बात को